welcome back to another fabulous episode of Life Along the Streetcar. And today, this is kind of like breaking news. Like, I don't always get breaking news. Normally, I'm like down the line and when things come out. But I think I might be the first to interview Downtown Tucson Partnership's newest CEO, president, Crystal.
You were right.
I'm very first. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And you've been on the job now for how long?
About 18 hours.
Nice, nice.
I took the interim role on September 19th, and about a week ago, I accepted the permanent position.
So you went in as an interim, and they're like, oh, yeah, she's not going anywhere. We're keeping her.
Actually, I didn't realize how much fun I was going to have.
Huh?
I thought, I would just hold the strings together until we found that permanent replacement. And then I just started having a lot of fun and recognized I could do some good and got energized by that. And here we are. Here I am.
Well, and from what I understand, you're fairly new to Tucson. Is that correct?
My first involvement with Downtown Tucson was in 2001 when I went to work for Buzz Isaacson Realty as a office commercial broker.
Okay.
I officed at the Pioneer Building from 2001 to 2007.
Has downtown changed at all in the 23 years that you've been a part of it?
There's been some really high moments and some really deep valleys, but it's the best that I've seen it, even pre-COVID.
Like in 2001, though, like what were you working in downtown, or that was just the headquarters? Like, were you selling office space?
No, I would say probably 45 to 50% of our portfolio was downtown.
Okay.
So we did have a lot of movement, but nothing after hours. It was like at 5 o'clock, everyone scurried to the garages, got in their cars, and left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I moved here in 93, and I remember it was probably before 2001, but we went to a progressive dinner that was a fundraiser, and that was when the grill was still here at Caruso's, and not Caruso's, but the place across from the police station.
Oh, yeah, the tapas place.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
We did this walking tour and got the history, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just love this and everything else. And so many people on the tour were like, yeah, we don't ever come down here at night.
Yeah.
And that was 2000. It was probably before 2001. I think it was late 90s. Mm-hmm. But that's changed.
And honestly, I wasn't staying downtown then either.
Right.
So
get me to my car.
I was getting home too. But then there was a shift probably in 2011 aligning with the streetcar. Mm-hmm. When did that happen?
Well, I think it got announced around 2011 and then launched a few years later. But I think as soon as it was announced, you started seeing developers and another sort of planning for its arrival. So
in 2011, we started planning 1 East Broadway. That went under development. And I was living in Savano, far east, southeast side. Moved to Mercado so I could be closer to the construction side of 1 East Broadway. We developed 1 East Broadway, and then Michael Keith moved into the apartment that I would eventually move into when he left. But I moved into 1 East Broadway in 2016.
Well, so this is very interesting. So you followed Michael.
I knew you were going to put that line together.
So you followed him into his apartment.
That's right.
And then at some point he was in charge of the Downtown Tucson Partnership, and now you're just kind of following him into that role.
Thanks, Michael.
There's a little bit of a gap since he's been gone, but he's in Chicago now, I think. So are you?
Oh, really?
I know he still has a house here, but I think he spends a lot of time in Chicago.
Interesting. My son's name is Wrigley, so we are big Chicago fans.
Okay.
But I have no intention of moving.
I hope not. You just got a new job.
I got this great opportunity here.
So with your experience in downtown, I mean, you've been in business, in residential development and business development. You've seen commercial, you've seen residential. Mm-hmm. Where's the biggest shift been? Has it been in more commercial, more residential?
For sure, more residential. We had an exit of office users many years ago, and we have not seen that backfill.
Was that before COVID or?
It was before COVID.
Okay.
We saw some recovery after the recession in 2008, but the absorption rate was still very slow compared to other markets in Tucson. But then COVID happened, and I think all the multi-story buildings downtown had some extraordinary vacancy. But the redevelopment of 2 East with taking 3 floors from office to residential has been helpful. It took that vacancy off the market for the commercial side. Most buildings downtown now that haven't been completely redeveloped, the Pioneers under redevelopment now,
Right.
are stabilized. I don't see big commercial companies coming back into downtown anytime soon.
Is that downtown Tucson or just downtowns in general?
I think downtowns in general, but I do see their employees living downtown.
Okay.
Which should drive maybe a pivot of reconsideration.
Okay. And from a slight step back here, the first development was 2 East Congress, or 1 East Congress, right? That was
in the portfolio that I'm involved in.
Well, I'm thinking about like the residential construction.
Okay. So of all downtown, in 2011 when the streetcar was announced, the Chase Bank building, 2 East Congress, had a very small parking lot to the south of the building. And we were informed that there was going to be a building moratorium, construction moratorium, once the streetcar line went in. So if we were going to develop that lot, we should do it quickly. So the owners developed it quickly. They didn't know what they were doing. They'll be the first to tell you. We had no idea what the Tucson market was going to serve because it hadn't been done before. So they developed the 7-story building, which is multi-use with parking, office, and residential. And the success of that building has driven the Gallery, Monier, Rendezvous, Flynn. None of those projects were on the books until we proved that Tucson would support this type of vertical living instead of urban sprawl.
Vertical living and price per square foot was higher than a lot of places in Tucson.
Yeah. And now because there's so much more supply on the market downtown, the pricing is adjusting a little bit. But because the supply was low and demand was high, certainly those rates went up.
Yeah, I remember talking to people when they first learning about some of the housing in downtown and going through what some of the those apartments were renting for, and they were completely shocked that like no one will ever go in there. I'm like, well, they have 100% occupancy rate, so
it's a mortgage. Literally, those rental rates are mortgages.
Yeah, and it is coming down because there are a lot. I mean, I think in 2019 or 2020 there was like a 700 or 800 units added in that year alone.
Correct. So the supply is great. Now there's going to be an equalization of rates.
Okay, well that's good news for.
It's good news.
A lot of people, and as you're saying, some of the Chase building converting, the 2 East building converting some of that office to residential, creating even more space.
Correct. And then what I like seeing in the equalization of rates is that now the employees who are working downtown can live downtown. Yeah. For a few years, we rated ourselves out of the market. Yeah. Especially in the service industry, they just couldn't afford to live and work in the same place. So I like seeing that. Good.
So now fast forward a little bit, and this opportunity comes along with the Downtown Tucson Partnership. They need an interim to get us to the complete president and CEO, and you step into that role to help out, and
begrudgingly,
and then now is grudgingly the right word? I mean, happily.
And how about enthusiastically
moving forward with that. And we've talked about the DTP multiple times in the show, but just a brief overview of kind of what the organization does.
Sure, we are. We offer clean and safe ambassadors throughout downtown, and honestly, I didn't know the extent of what the organization does until the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it's exciting to be involved on such a ground level that really impacts the user or the guest's experience on how they feel when they leave downtown. And I think that's important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've affectionately referred to them as the purple shirts.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they affectionately receive that. But
I think we all chuckle at this point.
But if you're in downtown, you will see the safety ambassadors and the cleaning team. And I will say over the years, it's gotten to the point where it's not just a handful of people. I mean, it's a full, you have a large staff.
Sure. When I started a few weeks ago, we had 13. We were down several positions, and I've hired 7 since I started, so we're up to 20. And downtown hasn't been as clean as it currently is in a long time, and that's because we've effectively strategized a daily routine, which hits almost the entire 84 blocks of district. It's 54.
54.
54.
We're still learning the ropes.
Yeah, sorry.
We're still learning the ropes. That's fine.
54 block district.
But
and
soon to be 84.
That's right.
You heard it here. We're gonna
Another breaking news moment.
Just joking.
Yes, please.
There's an entire board of people going, what happened?
Clip that part out. We have a daily strategy on how we effectively maintain the district. And I think that was done a few years ago, and then there was a gap of time that the focus was really along Congress, and we've re-energized the team to have a broader vision and really support all of our property owners who actively participate in paying for us.
And being downtown, and I work, live, and play downtown, I get to see a little bit more, I think, than maybe the casual observer. And of course, I was on the board for a while and participated in a lot of different exercises about the development of downtown. But the detail of the work that they do, it's sometimes I think it goes unnoticed. It's not just, okay, we have someone out sweeping. You actually have a street sweeper. You have people that have an entire cart developed for watering the plants. Yeah. And they go through and do all these really sort of minor details that overall have a major impact. Major impact.
And it goes from those minor details, like you were saying, to watering the 384 planters that we have around downtown, to being the first to arrive when there's a safety issue and waiting for the authorities to arrive, and maintaining calm during that storm. Our guys are well trained. They're well respected on the streets, from our vendors, our merchants, our retailers, and our guests. And as long as we maintain that respectability, I think we'll be successful.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into the details of it, but they've been instrumental in safety and health. They've saved lives. They've put people into
recently.
Yeah.
Recently, we our overnight team saved a life a week ago, and yesterday we were involved in a similar incident and maintained a calm environment as we waited for Tucson Fire to arrive. And not everyone can do that and then walk away and go pick up trash.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really all encompassing.
And a lot of the staff, at least the 13, I don't know about the new 7, but a lot of the staff have been there for a while.
A long time. And actually, of the 7 that we hired, 2 were rehires. So 15 collectively have probably, the average time is probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you see recognizable faces, and they seem to enjoy it. I don't know if they're just good at putting on a front, but they seem to enjoy it.
I think they have pride in their work and see the benefit of their actions downtown impacting other people's days and their visit to downtown, and all of those things are important.
Well, and on some upcoming news, because we're coming into the holiday season, and the trees are wrapped, and there's lighting, and there's going to be a tree lighting ceremony coming up, or is that
Desert Nights with Downtown Lights? Our illumination program is coming up in the next week, and then we have the tree lighting. I don't know the date for that, and we have Small Business Saturday.
She knows there's 384 planters. We don't know when the tree's getting lit, but we'll have that on our website.
Yes, I can get that date to you. And then, of course, Small Business Saturdays, which is a really big event. We're really glad to participate. As of yesterday, we have 50 retailers participating. So come down to downtown.
I didn't know there were 50 retailers in downtown.
Yeah.
Really?
50 merchants have submitted their participation.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And I understand if you're listening to this interview and or maybe you're watching it and you're thinking, man, I need to meet Crystal. I need to meet this new star.
Okay.
Where you're going to be part of a Small Business Saturday, right?
I'm going to be there. I'll be cruising around. You can find me with a DJ in front of Proper Shops at
300 East Congress.
300 East Congress.
Which, I know a little bit about that spot too.
Yeah. You know a lot more about downtown than I do.
That is 100%. I didn't even know the 384 planners. I know, tell you that much.
Oh, okay.
I knew there were at least 8.
I'm one up.
I knew there were at least 8.
Yeah.
Fairly new in the role, kind of hard to project out long term, but over the next few months, do you have any specific goals you're able to share with us, or do you have some thoughts as to where we're going, or is it just really still gathering all the data?
Still gathering the data. We have a couple really great ideas that we're going to run by the merchants and retailers to kind of bond them together a little bit and have larger activities that includes all very similar actually to Small Business Saturday. Mm-hmm. Does Small Business Saturday have to only be once a year, or can we do it more frequently? Another big thing for me is diverting some of that traffic downtown to Links. So Links will open in 2025.
Links being the bypass, it's the aviation highway that goes around downtown and connects to the freeway.
Yes. And when that happens, I hope to run a couple pilot weekends where if we get the support from the merchants and retailers, we can make Congress pedestrian friendly.
Wow.
And really open it up, and our guests won't have to worry about the speeding traffic as they're going in and out of shops and supporting our local merchants. Yeah,
and I will say, I think with DTP and Tucson Police, because I have a shop right there at 300 East Congress, we've definitely seen a decrease in that activity in general. Like there definitely seems to be a larger presence, and people are being more respectful of that.
Yes,
so.
and that's. That started when you were board chair of DTP, that conversation started. So that's...
Yeah, I'm good at talking. You're good at getting things done. See, that's the difference. I talked about it.
You got the momentum.
You made it happen.
Thanks.
Well, Crystal, I'm excited. I've gotten to know you quite well over the last few years, and I'm excited about where you can take this organization with your foundation and your knowledge of Tucson. And I know I speak for many people when I say that the level of respect that you have immediately going in because of what you've already done for the last 23 plus years in downtown, that sort of goodwill and capital, I think, is going to be really, really helpful and make you really successful.
Thanks, Tom. I've been flying under the radar for the last 22 years.
Not
anymore. Tom's pushed me out onto that catapult, and boom.
You're on a podcast.
Oh, gosh.
This
is the best podcast in Tucson, by the way.
Absolutely.
Right. You're finding it right here.
Both of my listeners agree with you.
Thank you.
Crystal, I appreciate your time.